Hello. Hallelujah. Genesis chapter 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. The whole earth. Okay, so what that tells you is that in the beginning, when God created man, all the way through the flood, there was one language. One language until the flood. And it came to pass, and they journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, so it was as good as stone. You know, I've seen people talk about how the hardest brick they could have made would have only been able to build something so big. But, I mean, you look at the pyramids, okay, and you understand how the weight distributes. And they said to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name. Let us be scattered abroad, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Now, here's what's interesting. It seems to me like what they're trying to avoid is exactly what happens. Like, I don't even understand where their thinking would come from that if they built this thing all the way up to heaven, that's gonna. And there's another, man, I wish I could find it again. And I'm sure I will. But there's another, recording of this story, in another thing of scripture. And it talks about the Tower of Babel and how big it was, okay? And how, as people were carrying a stone all the way to the top, if a person fell off and died, they didn't care. But if they dropped a stone that fell all the way down, then they cared. Like, it was more valuable to get it built than the people who were building it. So, in order for this to be going on, this is exactly like it is today. You've got rich people who enslave workers, laborers, to do things that kill them for the benefit of higher society, building the highest thing. Okay, so in this other scripture that I read, I will try to find it and read it on here, but it talked about how they built it all the way up to heaven, right? And then they shot a bunch, like up to the clouds, and then they shot arrows up into the clouds. And it says that God was there laughing, essentially, and he grabbed them, the arrows, dipped them in blood, and threw them back down. So the people thought that they had achieved their, they thought they had got them. But then it says, now listen to this. This is how big this thing is, okay? And I don't remember if the top was consumed first or the bottom was consumed first, but it said that fire from heaven came out of heaven and consumed the top 1/3 of the Tower of Babel, okay? That the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed 1/3 of the Tower of Babel. And what was left, the perimeter to walk around, was a 3-day walk. It would take you 3 days to walk around. Okay, so if this screen is 100%, okay, the bottom third went to the ground, the top third was consumed, and this second third here was a 3-day walk. It's pretty intense. I also think it's funny it said that God dipped the arrows in blood and threw it back down. But then he consumed the top, so you know. So brick for stone, slime they had for mortar, and they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower. I mean, this thing would be huge. Could you imagine how big it would be a city? Which I think it'd be kind of cool if we built cities like this. But the rich would live at the top and the poor would live at the bottom. And they had brick for stone, and that's just the way it is. Rich get richer and poor get poorer. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men build it. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. And they all have one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. So there was some point of technology here. Okay, we think that nobody had technology to do anything, but yet we can't rebuild the pyramids. Okay, there's lost technology, obviously. Because God, if the Lord says that nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do, do you really think that God wasn't aware of rocket fuel? You know, do you really think that God wasn't aware of the technologies we have today? And I would say that there are things that we are restrained from doing because we cannot, even though we can imagine doing it. So when I read this, I think, what knowledge, you know, because Adam partook of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. He knew everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. The people who live don't know everything. There might be some people who have tapped into the spirit realm and got some knowledge that they shouldn't have, or maybe that they should have. But point is, we don't know everything like Adam did. How much did that get passed down? What is going on here? How much knowledge did they have for them that nothing will be restrained from them? This is a tower that reaches to heaven. I'm sorry, okay? But the largest thing that we've ever built, spaceship-wise, that can reach the heavens, is what Elon Musk is doing. His big old giant 2-armed tower that grabs a freaking spaceship. And when you watch the video of him standing there and you look in the background, you see all of God's mountains. And those mountains don't even touch the heavens. They don't even go all the way up to heaven. I mean, some of them do. And then we think that that we have the technology now that we could describe ourselves as this. We don't. I cannot look into the world and say nothing will be restrained from us that we can imagine to do. Like maybe one day, but not right now. And that's my point. These people at that point, the God of the universe, the Lord, said, behold. They have so much knowledge and technology, nothing's going to be restrained from them. Nothing. So I think that we need to humble ourselves thinking that we're these awesome people. Like, we don't know nothing. Go build me some pyramids. Okay? Go to, let us go down. Do you notice that God, the Lord, is saying, let us, again, us. In the beginning of the Bible, there's this plurality in the Godhead. Let us go down, and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, so that the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all of the earth. So literally they're like, hey man, let's go build a city and a tower whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And then the result is the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the whole earth. Like, seriously, we need to learn from this, okay? Every time you try to rebel against God to gain something, when you've done so much rebellion that God has to step in and intervene, you are most likely going to lose everything you hope to gain. And they left off to build the city. Therefore the name of it is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years and begat Selah, 35 years old. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Selah 403 years old, and begat sons and daughters. And Selah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Selah, I mean, this is like way less years than before the flood now, you know. Like half the time. And Selah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Selah lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons. And I mean, this is just drastically decreasing in the amount of time people are living. And it's still X amount of generations. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So all of that led to Terah. Terah leads to Abram. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. So now we've just got Abram and Nahor. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. What? Are you seeing this? Took them wives. I wonder if it says anything like, and God said that was not what you should do. And Abram and Nahor took them wives, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah. Oh, one each. Okay. And the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. Okay, and Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. The name of Nahor's wife Milcah, who was the daughter of Haran. So that's his niece. He married his niece, daughter of Haran, who Haran must have been the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah as well. So I guess Haran is the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. Either way, he married his niece, but Sarai was barren. She had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, okay. And Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son. So Lot is Abram's nephew. And Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Chapter 12. Now the Lord said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country, and go from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. So he's saying, the Lord said to Abram, you need to move. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And remember, Canaan came from what's his name's lineage, Cain's, which was, anyways. And in the land of Canaan they came, and Abram passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. So this is the land that is right now surrounding Israel. Israel is not the only piece of this land that the Jewish people have been promised by God through Abraham. You see, not through Cain. Okay, Cain went there, but God said, this is the land that I'm going to give you. And they're fighting over this land right now. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, which means house of God, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Hai, Hai, on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. It's interesting that Bethel was to his west. The house of God was to his west. I don't know what Hai is. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. And she wasn't young. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, because if he's dead, then they can marry her legally because her husband's dead. But they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was coming to Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. I mean, how old was she at this point? The princes also of Pharaoh saw her, and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep, and oxen, and he-asses, and men servants, and maid servants, and she-asses, and camels. Abram got really rich when they took his wife away. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh's house and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, She is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? He said, I might have, which means he didn't. Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. You know, at this point, he knew that God was with this man. And Pharaoh commended his man concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had. So he didn't be like, oh, I'll give you all this stuff back. He's like, nope. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, chapter 13. And all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. So now they're going south of Egypt. Okay? And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. They were just so rich, they needed more land. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen. Remember, Lot's his nephew. For we be brethren. He's like, why? We don't need to fight over this stuff. This is silly. We're family. We're not doing this. Is not the whole land before thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen? For we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou wilt depart to the right, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. So there's a whole lot of information right there. Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld the plain of Jordan. So the plain of Jordan was watered everywhere before Sodom and Gomorrah. So that makes me think that it's not watered like that no more. It says, even as the garden of the Lord. So the garden of Eden was watered like that. So it came mist out of the ground, I'm assuming. Didn't need to rain much there. It was just a good place to be. Like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. So wherever Zoar is, in the land of Egypt, in that region, it's like that. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east. So he saw the beautiful green, lush land, and was like, yep, grass is greener over there. And they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward. So, from where Abraham was sitting, after Lot left, so he could probably see where Lot was. Lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward, as far as your eyes can see. In every direction is what he's saying. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. All right, now, this says here that they went south from Egypt, right? So where's he standing that he can see everywhere? I want to know where that spot is. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it to thee. Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. Chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom. So king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eleazar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations. These made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah. Shibna, king of Admah, and Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and king of Bela, which is Zoar. So, as thou comest unto Zoar, in verse 10, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar, the king of Bela, which is Zoar. Bela. So a town called Bela is Zoar. All these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Kedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. The Salt Sea. The vale of Siddim is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served him, and then 13th they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Kedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzims in Ham. Ashtaroth is the name of a spirit, a demonic spirit. So that's why I'm kind of interested in what that's saying right there. And the Emims in Sheveh Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their Mount Seir unto El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekite. Okay, so what we're seeing here is whenever this was penned by Moses, names had apparently changed, and he's letting people, he's updating the map, so to speak. You know, nowadays people be adding stuff to Wikipedia. And smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazazon Tamar, And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim, with Kedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Eleazar, 4 kings with 5. Does that mean 4 against 5 without going back and counting that? The vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea, was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there. Oh, that's not good. And they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went their way. And they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. So they captured him maybe? And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken, so he was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. So he got his own small army. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus, which is a city that's never been destroyed, but is prophesied to be destroyed. And he brought back all the goods. I'm pretty sure it's literally one of the oldest cities, if not the oldest city on the planet. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. So he went and rescued him and got all their stuff back. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer and of the kings that were with him. Wait a minute. So he whooped everybody's butt at the valley. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him, at the valley of Sheva, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, Jerusalem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God, Jesus. And he blessed him and said, but he's just not Jesus at this point, Jesus is the begotten Son, the man. All right, so he was the priest of the Most High God, and he blessed him and said, blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. So Melchizedek is talking about the Most High God. And letting us know that that God, the Father, the Ancient of Days, is the possessor of heaven and earth. He possesses heaven and earth. It's his possession. It's a thing that he owns. Sort of like victory. He possesses the victory. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. Abraham gave Melchizedek tithes of all, the priest of the Most High God. And the king of Sodom said unto Abraham, give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread, even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abraham rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of men which went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion.